When 12-year-old Logan Whitaker offered peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to the homeless, he thought he was just being kind. What followed, however, felt like a punishment wrapped in cruelty ordered not by law but by a petty tyrant wearing authority like a costume. The president of the Ridgepoint HOA, Dana Voss, turned Logan's simple gesture into a lesson in humiliation and broadcast it online with pride. What she didn't know was that Logan's father, Aaron Whitaker, sat on the federal bench and justice, when it moves, doesn't always wear a robe. But no one expected just how far that justice would go or what it would cost along the way. It started on one of those golden mornings in Ridgepoint Heights, California, the kind where the air smells of citrus trees and new beginnings, and neighbors wave while secretly judging the color of your mulch. The kind of place where BMWs outnumber bicycles, and the greatest controversy in recent memory was an inflatable Christmas dragon deemed unneighborly. Logan had packed the sandwiches himself, gloved hands like his mom had taught him, slicing bread with the care of a surgeon and stacking the cooler with quiet pride. He'd seen the same trio every day that week, 2 men and a woman at the same cracked bus stop just outside the HOA boundaries. Their clothes were worn, their presence mostly ignored. Logan noticed, and it bothered him. So that morning he acted. He walked over and offered them sandwiches. First one, then another. They were surprised, grateful. One of the men even teared up. Logan smiled. That's when the black SUV rolled up. It was too clean, its tires too polished, the HOA crest stenciled on the side in gold. 2 men stepped out in navy polo shirts, HOA badges swinging from their necks like medals of self-importance. One held a clipboard. The other had his phone out and was already recording. "Step away from the individuals, sir," the taller man said, his tone that of someone announcing a bomb threat instead of sandwiches. Logan blinked. "I'm just giving them food." "You are engaging in unauthorized distribution," clipboard guy said, voice as emotionless as a ticket machine. "This is private property. You are creating a public disturbance." Logan stared at them. The woman on the bench looked terrified. One of the men began to cry, not from joy this time, but fear. Logan's cheeks flushed. "They're hungry." Clipboard didn't even blink. "We've had complaints. You're attracting loiterers. Do you understand the consequences of encouraging that kind of presence?" Logan didn't. He was 12. They didn't call his parents. Didn't ask his name. They just marched him, not dragged, but not kindly either, along the spotless sidewalk to the Ridgepoint HOA clubhouse. A sleek building with stone planters and a quote etched in brass at the entrance. "Order brings harmony." They sat him down in a tiny office with framed posters preaching values like responsibility and civic duty. Then they handed him a form. Infraction citation 0073B, minor. Unauthorized distribution. Promoting congregation. Underneath, in handwriting that bristled with self-righteousness. Penalty, 2 weeks of community rehabilitation. You'll report to MS Voss tomorrow at 4 p.m. One of them said. "Don't be late. Accountability matters." Then they let him go. He walked home alone, cooler now empty. His heart emptier still. He didn't tell his parents, not right away. Maybe he thought he had done something wrong. The next day, Logan arrived at the clubhouse exactly at 4 p.m. a backpack on his shoulder, gloves in his pocket, and dread knotted in his chest. He didn't know what community rehabilitation meant. Not yet. But he was about to find out. Dana Voss waited in the lobby like a gargoyle disguised as a PTA president. Tall, lean, with sharp cheekbones and mirror sunglasses she didn't remove even indoors. Her smile wasn't friendly, it was triumphant, the smirk of someone who believed every decision she made was righteous by default. "You're on time," she said. "That's a start. But punctuality doesn't erase damage." Logan hesitated. "What damage?" Dana flipped through her clipboard theatrically. "Unregulated interaction. Sanitation concerns. You created panic. You invited unsavory individuals into our community." She looked him up and down, her voice dripping with disdain. "They don't exactly embody Ridgepoint standards, do they?" She led him outside onto the clubhouse patio. What he saw there made his chest seize. 7 people sat in plastic chairs, homeless, tired, uncertain. Their clothes were torn, skin weathered. One man had bandages around his wrists. One woman stared at the ground like she was waiting for it to swallow her. One of them smiled weakly at Logan. Dana handed him a pair of thick yellow gloves and a rag. "Your task," she said casually, "is to wash them." Logan froze. "You'll clean their arms, faces, whatever they allow. Hygiene is critical. This isn't downtown LA. We don't tolerate squalor here." He took a step back. "You wanted to help them, didn't you?" she added. "Well, here's your chance. If you treat them like pets, you should be ready to clean up after them." Behind her, a staff member rolled out a cart, bottled water, rags, cheap hotel towels, and a spray bottle labeled sanitizing agent. It wasn't help. It was humiliation. Theater disguised as community service. Dana folded her arms, clipboard ready. "Consider this a lesson in consequences." Logan stood still, his hands trembling as the 7 people looked at him not with pity, but with a question. "Will you still see us as human, now that they don't?" Aaron Whitaker, a federal judge, came home that night to find his son sitting silently at the table, eyes low, dinner untouched. And then Logan told him. Aaron didn't even let the boy finish. His hand came down on the counter like a gavel. The marble cracked. "They made our son wash people," he hissed, pacing. "Like they were disease?" His wife, Dana, steadied herself against the counter. "They called it community rehabilitation," she said, voice shaking. Aaron's fists clenched. "He's 12. They used him, shamed him, turned him into a prop." Logan sat quiet. Still no tears. That silence cut deeper than any scream. Aaron stormed toward the door. "I'm going down there." His wife blocked him. "You're a judge. You go angry, it's headlines. They'll bury us before this even begins." Aaron stopped. His breath came in short bursts. She was right. Public perception would turn the moment he made it personal. But deep down, Aaron wasn't just a judge anymore. He was a father. And something had been torn from his son that no robe or bench could restore. So instead, he went quiet. Cold. Focused. That night, he parked across the street from the clubhouse. And watched. Logan knelt beside a frail man whose ribs showed through his skin. He held a sponge in one hand and a hose in the other. His movements were gentle, but his posture was wrong, shoulders too tight, hands trembling. His eyes empty. Aaron's knuckles went white on the steering wheel. This wasn't discipline. It was a wound. And Aaron Whitaker would make sure it bled truth all the way to court. That night, Logan didn't speak. Not when bruises bloomed on his arms. Not when Dana Voss stood 6 feet away, phone out, recording him washing a man's feet. She posted the footage to the HOA's private group with a caption in bold pastel font. "A fine example of rehabilitation. Let this be a reminder that discipline still exists." Comments poured in. "This is what raising boys into men looks like. Parenting done right. Proud to live in Ridgepoint." Logan read every comment. And said nothing. At home, he stopped narrating his day. At dinner, he barely touched his food. When asked about school, he said fine. When invited to watch a movie, he declined. He showered with the lights off. He avoided mirrors. And he flinched just a little when he smelled soap. Late one night, Aaron passed his son's room and heard him whispering. Names. Names of the people he'd been forced to wash. He was memorizing them, holding onto their humanity like the world had forgotten it. Aaron slid down the wall and sat on the floor, his chest tight, eyes wet. This wasn't justice. This was harm, dressed up in neighborhood watch uniforms. But harm can breed something else. Resolve. Aaron stayed up that night. Black coffee. A legal pad. A folder labeled Ridgepoint HOA bylaws. He wasn't wearing his robe. He didn't need it. He was building a case. Not loud. Not explosive. Surgical. He found the loopholes, vague terms like mandatory compliance and rehabilitative engagement. No mention of parental consent. No ethical oversight. He called in favors. Civil rights attorneys. Journalists. Scholars. And then he filed the lawsuit. Class action. Unauthorized correctional labor on minors by private authorities. Defendants. Ridgepoint HOA. Dana Voss. The HOA Enforcement Committee. When the news broke, it wasn't just local. It went national. Federal judge's son forced to wash homeless as punishment, HOA under fire. Social media erupted. Former supporters deleted their comments. Some apologized. Others pretended they never approved. But it was too late. The footage leaked. Dana's voice. Maybe next time he'll keep his sandwiches to himself. And that was it. The fire ignited. Protests formed outside the clubhouse. Reporters camped out on lawns. Ridgepoint's perfectly manicured order fell apart. Dana Voss tried damage control. She stood before cameras in a power suit, flag pin gleaming. He volunteered, she claimed. We simply provided structure. But then came the footage. The sponge. The tears. Her laughter. Public opinion turned savage. Ridgepoint sponsors pulled out. Dana was suspended. The HOA went into peer lockdown. Meanwhile, Logan's photo kneeling in gloves, washing with care made the front page of the Washington Post. Forced TO care when empathy is punished. 6 months later, the courtroom was full. Logan sat beside his mother, Erin a few rows behind watching, not presiding. The HOA's lawyers argued miscommunication, misinterpretation, civic overreach. Dana took the stand. I was guiding him, she said, teaching accountability. Then came the cross-examination. Every detail was laid bare, the labor, the lack of consent, the emotional trauma. They played the footage. And for the first time, Dana didn't smile. The verdict? This court finds the Ridgepoint HOA engaged in public humiliation, coercive punishment, and psychological harm against a minor. Fines, $2.4 million. Dana Voss, banned from leadership for 10 years. Logan's record, fully expunged. He had done nothing wrong. Erin didn't cheer. Just closed his eyes. Not victory. Restoration. Afterward, a reporter caught Logan outside the courthouse. What do you want now? They asked. Logan shrugged. I want to help. For real. And he did. With support from nonprofits and volunteer attorneys, he launched a program called Secondhand Hope, named after something a man at the bus stop once told him. We don't get second chances. We get second hands. Mobile showers. Youth-led meal prep. Resume help. Haircuts. No shame. No lectures. Just dignity. At the first pop-up, an old man approached Logan and hugged him. You're still here, he whispered. Logan hugged back. I never left. Even former HOA members showed up to volunteer. No apologies. Just quiet effort. 1 year later, the clubhouse was transformed, now a community center. Open to all. Plaque outside read. In honor of those who reminded us what it means to care. Logan, now 13, stepped up to a modest podium. No fanfare. Just jeans and a hoodie with Secondhand Hope printed across the chest. He looked out. Then spoke. People ask me what justice looks like. I used to think it lived in courtrooms, wore robes, sat behind benches. But now I think sometimes it looks like a towel, or a sandwich, or a kid saying, I see you. Justice doesn't always punish. Sometimes it prevents. Applause rose, not loud, but lasting. At the back, Erin stood. No badge, no title. Just a father, watching a boy who had walked through fire and emerged with water.